Creativity. How does it serve us and how do we tap more into it? That's what we're talking about today on Set to Love. Welcome.
You can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality.
You are here to contribute through your essence, fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on.
Take what works, ditch the rest, and always stay set to love.
Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go.
Let's go tap into some creativity.
Let's go tapping into creativity. A friend, I missed you yesterday on the show. I was driving back from Las Vegas and, you were in New York this weekend and I know I could have pulled you away from wherever you were at 8, 9, 10, 11:30, but I thought, I'll just, I'll figure it out. So I asked Alicia Ayala, she's been on our show a couple times, love her, fun lady. I'm like, will you just co-host with me? And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna have internet service because I was driving back. So I just pulled off in the desert somewhere and did it from my phone. And I don't even know if it looked good or whatever, but she always brings such beautiful content. I loved having her and it was so fun, but I did very much miss you. And so I'm so happy to be back with my best friend this morning.
Well, that was very nice of you. And I really do appreciate having that little bit of time off. And it would have been really hard for me just with so many distractions. But I'm really glad that it went well. And I'm glad that our viewers got to see her. So
yeah,
she's amazing.
it was good. Yeah, there were so many things. And my sister was watching. She kept chiming in and like, what about this? And what about this? And asking all these questions. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm asking so many questions. I'm like, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I love our topic today, tapping into creativity. And I wanted to read just a little bit out of my book, The Flow Life Funnel, because one of the chapters is all about creativity. Being able to really tap into our creative side helps to bring more flow into our lives. And so I wanted to read like 2 little sections and then just kind of see where it goes. Because I think creativity helps us in a lot more ways than we're even aware of. So let me just start out by saying, so I wrote, creativity is the ability to improve, to add value. It is the act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. If you have ideas but don't act on them, you're imaginative but not creative. Rollo May, an American psychologist, wrote in The Courage to Create, quote, creativity is the process of bringing something new into being. Creativity requires passion and commitment. One of the creative act is born symbols and myths. Out of creative act is born symbols and myths. It's bringing awareness to what was previously hidden and points to a new life. The experience is one of heightened conscious ecstasy. And I just really love that because I think a lot of times when we think about creativity, we think of it in terms of like you got to be a painter or a musician or some kind of artist, and you're creating something. But I think a lot of times just in our everyday lives, we are creative, birthing something new. Sometimes it's just, how do I deal with the situation in front of me right now?
Yeah.
How can I move forward through feeling this way? And being able to put down our preconceived notions, our judgments, and open up to creativity. I mean, heck, my book is co-authored and that which is creativity, because even the ideas in the book came to me just in moments like that when I just really needed help. And I really thought, how can I get through this? How can I reframe this story of divorce, or this story of childhood trauma in my life so that I can be a productive and useful and happy human today. So being able to just look at life in a creative way and reframe things has really allowed me to have more flow and peace in my present moment. What are your
That's
thoughts?
beautiful, Eva. I mean, it really is beautiful. And, when I think of creativity too, sometimes just like when, I knew we were going to talk about creativity, there is so many different ways that you can describe creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I think of times when I've had to be creative, meaning like you're in a situation, then all of a sudden it's completely different than what you thought.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be creative to, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And you have to use be creative to make things work. I've been at a wedding. We were short a boutonniere, and I, grabbed a flower and made a boutonniere with, a safety pin. And like, you can be creative in just the silliest ways. But I think too, that's what's something really important is how creativity really makes you feel. It makes you
Mhm.
feel so big. It makes you feel so happy. It makes you feel creative. It makes you feel like I can do anything. It's like being on this high of what flow means.
Mhm.
So I think of all the times, I mean, for even those viewers, think about a time when you were really creative and how that made you feel. And if you use that more, tap into that more, how that could help you in your life.
Right. Think about like that every day, like what challenge are you facing today? What struggle do you have in front of you? And that might be, I need to write a paper or I'm going to create this piece of art. But that also just might be, how do I deal with the situation or how do I deal with how I feel right now? And so when you're open, having that open heart and that open mind and allowing for new ideas to come in, they can come in so quick. A creativity works super fast sometimes. And you know what? That reminds me. Let me read one other little part. This might blow you away. I mean, I know you've listened to my book, but for anyone else out there, I loved this part of that I found these things. It says the Beatles Yesterday was written overnight. The Rolling Stones I Can't Get No Satisfaction was written in 40 minutes. Rem's Losing My Religion in 10 minutes. Beyonce's Single Ladies Put a Ring on It in 10 minutes. And Queen and David Bowie wrote Under Pressure under 10 minutes. Finally, Ray Charles improvised What I'd Say and said, I had sung everything I could think of. So I said to the guys, look, I'm just going to start this thing off. I don't know where I'm going. So y'all just follow me. And I said to the girls, whatever I say, just repeat after me. All these songs, and I'm sure countless other creations came forth quickly with the help of creativity.
Oh
It's
my
like
God.
letting go, just letting go of how you think something needs to be or how you think something needs to look, and allowing for space to just be. Kristen says it's a live journal. I
I
love
was
that.
just going to say that. That's such a great description. Thank you for that, Kristen. It's so true. I mean, I don't know. I think it's also being creative is trying something a different way is
Mhm.
being really creative. Just like, start your day off and do it different. That's creativity, just changing it up a little bit. And then you might even like that way better.
Right, right. Yeah, you never know like what could come in. I mean, this past weekend being alone, like not having anyone there with me gave me just time and space to like be here and think and get stuff done. And it was so nice to when you really can tap into yourself and just sit with whatever it is that you're working on. I know for my sister, she's been doing a ton of painting lately and drawing and working on that kind of creative side of her. And she just puts on good music. She's in her crystal room, as I think she's calling it nowadays, and just dives into a project and really like giving yourself over. It's almost like relinquishing how you think it needs to look and saying, okay, what is possible? And when you let down that gate of what you think it has to be, so many ideas and possibilities come in. And that can just
I
be around
think
so many different
too,
areas.
people that are in a slump, that
Mhm.
really aren't in a good place or very
Right.
depressed or whatever, they don't know what to do. I think in some ways, almost like Kristen, once she found that something that she was passionate about,
Mhm.
it wasn't overnight, but, even 6 months later, she was a different person and
Yeah.
happy and found purpose. So that's what people really need to realize is that when you can get out of your own way, be creative, find that something. I mean, I know creativity isn't only in something that you create, but I think in the way of if people could find something to be creative, what they're passionate about, whether it is music or makeup or
Mhm.
art or writing songs, what that step by just doing it, playing a sport that you've wanted to try, jumping on a bungee cord, whatever those craziness are. I just think that it will change your life, and it'll shock you into being a lot happier.
And alive and just
Yes.
alive and feeling like expansive. Like I think you said right before we got on, I sometimes don't think of myself as a creative person, but you are. I mean, all humans are creative. If you think, look at everything around, everything in front of me right now was created by somebody first in the mind and then taking action and steps to bring it into the world. And that takes courage. It is not easy to say, oh, okay, I'm going to produce this thing and then I'm going to share it with the world, whether it's a product or an idea or anything. And when I feel like for me, when I was in that really dark place, being creative was like the last thing that I thought. I mean, it's so hard for me, it was really hard to be creative in that dark place. But I know a lot of people are super creative in that dark place. Their
Yes.
art or whatever they're doing might also might resemble or reflect that how they're feeling at that time, but they're still creative even in
Yes.
those dark
So
places.
you're like
You are
even
always
saying,
creative.
like if somebody's in a breakup and I think of all these country songs that were written when someone's broken
Mhm.
up in a relationship and something so beautiful comes out of something so sad.
Right.
And I'm looking behind your head and I'm thinking, look how creative you are. If people, they can get a sense of who you are just by what's behind you, your love sign,
Right.
your butterfly, and your book. And that's just creative. And that just really represents a lot about who you are. So it's beautiful, and it's like no other. That's the thing, is everyone is so unique. Our creativity comes out in such a beautiful way. You just never know what's going to come from it.
And love that about yourself. Don't be critical. It's like we don't need to be critical of our kids and the stuff that they create. Like my son creates some stuff sometimes. I'm like, where did that come from? Give him some duct tape and paper and cardboard and foil and he'll build a castle for you. I mean, it's crazy. It's how it's just innately in us. And I think
Yes.
that as we get older, we start to get critical, like, oh, is anyone going to like it? Or what's someone going to think? Or I don't know how to write music, or I don't know how to paint, or I don't know how to do. Who cares? Do you feel pulled or like drawn towards just trying something? Do it for yourself. There is something so beautiful about losing your identity in creating something, in just working with whatever comes top of mind and bringing it out into the world. And that doesn't always have to be a product. So many times too, and I mentioned this several times already, but and just dealing with a challenge or something that you're facing. Like if you think the only way to solve this is to have this conversation, or the only way to solve this is to say this, or the only way, if you think the only way, you're wrong. I promise you, as someone who has very strategic thinking and can work around a problem 100 different ways, if you need help, call me. But honestly, I know there's so many different ways to go around, under, over, through a challenge that you're facing. And it does take creativity, and it takes trusting that there is something inside of you and or outside of you working to benefit you. Elizabeth Gilbert, and I've talked about this before, but I want to touch on it in a TED Talk that she did. She talked about creativity when she was promoting her book, Big Magic. And she was talking about a gal that she knew who said creativity for her, she was a poet, and creativity, she believed, lived outside of her. And an idea would come in, a poem would come in. And if she didn't get back to her house and a piece of paper to write it down, sometimes it would just pass right through her and would be gone forever. And she could never capture it again. And other times she'd be running to that paper. And as it was leaving, she said she'd grab it by the tail and pull it back in so she could write it down. So it's like sometimes those ideas, they come in when you're open. So if you need to feel that openness and that expansiveness, get out into nature. Go for a walk, go gardening, spend some time alone with yourself, and just trust that life is working for you and not against you. And when you can do that, when you can just say, what are the possibilities, and start to just let your mind be imaginative and innovative to think, how can I get through this? What's going to be the loving solution to this challenge? How can we find that win-win? The answer will come to you. You are a powerful being, and the answers are there, and we just need to be willing and able to tap into it.
I would say when I drive to see Harper and it's super early in the morning, and sometimes the sun is just coming up, and I'm on this long highway, and there's beautiful mountains and greenery and plants and the sky, and I have to say those are the most precious times to me, because I'll have even sometimes soft music that will completely go away, and I'll be so in my thoughts as I'm driving that things do come in where I've literally had to pull over the car and say, "Oh, I'm going to put this in my notes," because it's almost like a dream state
Yes.
that if you don't do it right then, by the 10 minutes later, it's gone.
It's
Because
gone.
those quiet times. So I would say to people, my idea is get in the car super early, just before the sun is going to set. Look at how beautiful the world is. Go with gratitude and see what happens. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Yeah,
It
for
is.
sure.
Think about how many times I call you. I'm like, Shelly, I have an idea. Or I'll like text it to myself. I mean, this show came to me on a walk. I just went, oh, that's how we need to adjust. Let's try it.
Yes.
Let's see how it goes. So even like when you're working with a business and a business idea, and something's working but it needs to be adjusted, just giving yourself that space to go, how can I improve? How can we make this better? How can we have more flow? What would make us happier, and would work better, and we still get to serve, and we still get to fill a need. So anyway, I love you, friend. We are
I
at
love you
that
too.
time again. I hope something here was beneficial and helpful for someone out there. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today.
Love you
I
all.
I love you, best friends, so much. You can find us at settolove.com. If you have questions, if you're struggling with your creative process, if you feel stuck and you would like some support, send us an email. We'd love to coach you through. And that is set2lovepodcast@gmail.com. We're here weekday mornings, or heck, go back. We've got crazy amounts of episodes. I know we talk about creativity, so you can go back and find some of those other ones. Or hey, pick up the book to find
Yes.
your flow in life and to tap into that creativity a little bit more.
And hit the bell. Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. Hit that thumbs up button. Love you guys. Thank you
Love
so
you.
much.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
See you.